So thank you. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us about what it was like doing the Mindfulness for Health course. Can you kind of say something about what led you to the course? What?
Yeah. Initially, I had a car accident 20 odd years ago, and I damaged my neck, and so I had a lot of pain, but managed to sort of get over it. And then after 20 years, the pain started to come back. So it took, in a nutshell, it took 2 years to get a diagnosis, which was nothing to do with the car accident. But at that time, I was in so much pain. I was just in despair, really. I couldn't go to work, so I finished up losing my job. And I'd been in the same job for 16 years teaching, absolutely loved it, and I couldn't see a way out. I couldn't see how to sort of get rid of this pain and get back to some sort of normality. So that at that point, I was at my lowest, and somebody mentioned mindfulness to me. And I bought the book, the Mindfulness for Health book, but I couldn't sort of process it, if you know what I mean. I think I was in too much pain and I couldn't physically just sit and read a book. I needed to understand it. So then, just by chance, I saw an advert come up on Facebook for IACT, and it said you could self-refer. So I thought, well, I'll have a look. And I thought, well, it's not going to be that easy. But it was. And so I sent the form off, got accepted onto the course, and that was it, really. It just went from there.
So how did you find the course? What was it like?
It was completely different to what I expected. I thought that it was people like from the 60s that did meditation and things. Didn't really think that it would work, but I had nowhere else to go. So for me, it was, you know, either do that or just give up. But I'm a bit of a fighter, didn't want to give up. So I thought, well, I'll just give it a go. So I started, and the first day, from that very first meeting that I went in, I just felt safe when I was there, and I felt it was somewhere that I could go and tell people, because you don't always want to moan to your family and friends all the time, because you don't want them to stop coming to see you and socializing. So that was a place where I could go, a place of safety. Everyone in that group was in the same sort of situation, not with the same things wrong with them, but in constant pain and wanting to get out of it. Yeah, it was really good. And I can remember the first meeting, and you said at the end, we'd gone through all the confidentiality things and, you know, about everybody being able to say what they liked in the group. And you said that it was a safe space if you need to cry. And I can remember just sitting and crying. And it was like, yeah, this is where I need to be. And so I just sort of kept going with it.
Thank you. What's the effect of the course been for you? Where are you at now with things? How did you?
Well, when I did the course, I can remember first starting it, and for the first 2 weeks just thinking, well, this is rubbish. No disrespect to you, it doesn't work. The pain's not gone away. But I persevered. I thought, well, I've signed up for it, I need to keep going. And then after 2 weeks of doing those meditations twice a day, I suddenly felt my shoulders give way. And I honestly thought I was relaxed. I was convinced that I wasn't stressed, and that I was relaxed, and I wasn't. And so then I thought, I need to keep going with this. I wanted more of that, because in that instant, some of the pain had gone. And for me, I just kept saying, it's my back, the whole of my back's in pain, you know, right from my neck, the whole way down my arms. And at that point, I realized actually it wasn't. So I kept going with it. And the more that I did, the more pain released. And then I noticed that actually sometimes when I was doing particularly the body scan, I was telling myself, oh, I'm at my neck now, so there's pain there. And then one day realizing, actually, no, it doesn't hurt. My pain, I haven't got any pain in my neck today. And that was a real eye-opener, because I was, in my mind, I was in pain. But that told me that actually I wasn't in pain. So all this pain I'd got wasn't always there. And it was like, oh, wow. So I kept going. I absolutely loved it. And I found I used to do more. When I found that I had flare-ups and things, I used to do more because it did start to relax it. It did start to relieve the pain. And then I finished up at a point where actually most of the time I don't have pain. I don't have pain. I can manage to work. So after losing my job, I retrained as a Pilates teacher. And again, the mindfulness helped with the pacing for that, so that I didn't overstretch myself. I didn't do too much. I recognized when I was getting at the point where I was overdoing it, getting into too much pain, and I could pull back. And so I passed my Pilates and opened my own business. And now I work from home. I work the hours I want to work, that fits in, that doesn't make the pain expand again to that point where I was in absolute despair. And the big thing for me is the follow-on sessions, the monthly follow-on sessions, because if you're going through a bad spot, you know that if you go along to one of those sessions, you'll be reminded of something that you've forgotten.
Yeah.
And it gets you back on track again.
That's lovely. Thank you. I'm wondering, because a lot of people watching this might not necessarily experience pain, other symptoms, or other struggles with a health condition. I'm wondering if there are other things that you got from the course.
Definitely, yeah. The thing for me, what I have actually realised now, that most of my pain was actually caused by stress. Okay. Stress at work. The job I was in teaching, and even though I only worked part-time, I taught full-time, and it's the stresses that go with that. And so that's another reason why I keep up the practice, because I know that will de-stress me and get me back on track. And like with anxiety as well, because sometimes you finish up so desperate, you become over anxious about absolutely everything. But then you do your mindfulness, calms your body down, and you just think, right, I'm okay again now. So it's
big on stress relief.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and like now, if I'm getting stressed, which obviously, because of the situation we're in now with COVID, I wasn't managing that properly. But now I've got back into it again. I've revisited everything, and I'm back on an even keel, and I'm happy again. Whereas I was so miserable because you can't, when you get yourself into that pattern, you can't see an end to it. You can't see the positive things in your life. You know, it's like when you taught on the course, you focus too much on the negatives, and you've got to remind yourself about the positives. And I still do it, don't get me wrong. And you do tend to, something happens and you think, and you niggle about it. And then you do your mindfulness and you think, you silly thing. Do you know what I mean? Just be present in this moment, here and now, everything's fine. And then you can just sort of get on.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and the way you've spoken there about the benefits. I think it's going to really help a lot of people to get some insight into what the course can offer to them. Yeah, well, the thing is, I know people that are stressed, and I just bang on about mindfulness. They must be sick to death of hearing me go on about mindfulness, because that's what I say to everybody. You need to try it. You really need to try it. It's changed my life completely.
And like I said, I've got a successful business now. I choose my own hours, and I think you can soon get overwhelmed by, you need more money, you need to have this higher powered job, you need this, but actually you need to be you need to be happy. And it's not about chasing the money. I don't want to, like, because people have said, why don't you open a bigger studio? I don't want a bigger studio. I'm happy now. My health is more important to me, and not having the stresses that I had before, because that impacts my health. And I know now that it was that impacted my health. Yeah. And I don't want to go back there. I want to stay where I am, happy.